Undercurrent, sponsored by John Hughes in Victoria Park. Choose your station before you choose your program. Absolutely.
And welcome to Undercurrent. I'm Christy Molliker. Well, this week is National Fraud Week here in Australia, and tonight on the show we'll be giving you tips on how to avoid being scammed. Now, first up on tonight's episode, and very much in keeping with the theme, last week I was invited to the Consumer Protections Awards for 2012. So let's find out who the big winners were. Well, throughout the past year on Undercurrent, we've brought you many stories involving the Department of Consumer Protection, including the launch of their brand new website, Scamnet. Well, today we're here at the West Australian Consumer Protection Awards to find out just who the big winners are. Now, all the nominees are out there in the foyer at the moment. Excitement is high. Now, Marissa, what brings you to the awards here today?
Well, I've been fortunate to be involved with Rona Oakley, who's presenting an award today, and I'm actually the president of the Myasthenia Gravis Friends and Support Association, and which has a connection with Rona.
And why do you think an award ceremony like this is so important?
Well, I suppose it's all about recognition and recognising important people across the community sector, and so I think that's really, really vital.
I think there's a lot of people out there beavering away in jobs that don't bring headlines, don't go up in flashing lights. And as far as I'm concerned, the award named after me is an opportunity for them to be recognised, and to me that's important.
Now, I am with Mr. Wayne Binder from Noongar Radio. Welcome to the awards.
Thank you.
Now, why do you think awards like this are so important?
Well, I think, there's a lot of people out there trying to get money off people for one reason or another, and there are also people out there who are working hard to educate people, to inform them about those other types of people. So these are good. They recognise that people are out there doing some things to combat the scams and that sort of thing, but more importantly to educate vulnerable people.
I am here with the Minister for Consumer Protection, Honourable Simon O'Brien. Always great to chat with you, especially at such a wonderful event.
Look, it is a wonderful event and it's always a pleasure to be here. One of the best things about it is it gives us an opportunity to reflect on the great contribution that our fellow West Australians make to look after each other. Consumer protection is something that applies to all of us, and all of us can become victims. That's why it's so vital that we have a day such as this where we can acknowledge people that quite often in a voluntary capacity have worked really hard to make sure that we don't have victims in our community. So congratulations to all the winners, and to all of the people out there in the community that are involved in consumer protection or advocacy in one form or another. Keep up the good work.
Well, I am here with Lindsay Fitzgerald from the Jacaranda Community Centre, who was the winner today of the very prestigious Rona Oakley Award. What an honour!
It is a real honour. I mean, I know what Rona's done over the years, and I'm just so proud to be able to have her award. It's just absolutely brilliant.
I am lucky enough to be standing here with the Commissioner for Consumer Protection, Anne Driscoll, after the wonderful awards. Weren't they just sensational?
They're just such a major reminder of how beautiful our community is and how people are prepared to go an extra mile to make sure others are looked after.
Now, for the first time this year, a brand new award in the Media Award. Why do you think the media is so important in helping the people of Western Australia and the world in this type of field?
For starters, it's about having an empowered community, so the community knows what to expect and what to demand. And in the same way, the media can be really important too in actually educating business. So what we have through all forms of media is a capacity to tell everybody about what their consumer protection rights are. But more importantly than that is that added capacity to alert us all. And of course the reach of the media is outstanding these days. And can I say that today is about the community and celebrating the contribution that the community makes. And WTV is such an important part of the community. It's localising what is important to West Australians, and this event is so important to us all. So thank you for being a part of it.
It's an absolute honour.
Thank you.
Well, as you can see, some truly inspirational finalists and winners here today at the West Australian Consumer Protection Awards for 2012. I'm Christy Mollica, reporting for Undercurrent. Well, the Department for Consumer Protection and the WA Police Force would like to remind you that this week is National Fraud Week, and those fraudsters and scammers will try and get you in any way they can. Now, some things to look out for are cold calls to either your home phone or your mobile phone. Sometimes they'll even be as blatant as to rock up at your front door, and of course unsolicited emails and even to your Facebook account. The bottom line is, if it seems too good to be true, well then, it probably is. Well, next up on Undercurrent, Nikita Dixon took a look at the International Student Festival.
We're here at the Northbridge Plaza for the Perth International Student Festival. Today is all about celebrating the unique culture our international students bring with them from all around the world. How important is it to have something like this for our international students?
Oh, it's a great day, and it's the one day that we set aside in the calendar to acknowledge our international students. It's a day we celebrate the cultural diversity of Perth, and we like to acknowledge all the many things that the students bring to our city.
So have you managed to meet any of the international students today?
Yeah, I met a couple who had just come from Singapore and just really new to Perth, and I think this is a really great way to introduce people to Perth and introduce people to like the lifestyle here. It's awesome, yeah.
So what's been the best part about being an international student in Perth?
Friends. Yeah, a lot of friends, making lots of new friends, and even the study is not that hard either. Yeah, it's pretty much relaxing.
So tell us, what's the difference between, you're from Taiwan, I understand, and you're from France. How different is Perth?
I think language, of course, and weather, and like it's quiet place, and you can enjoy your life here more casual, more slowly. Like in Taiwan, it's almost like busy city, so every time you kind of like stressed, but in here you just relax.
And how long have you guys been in Australia for?
1.5 year. 1.5, yeah.
Well, that's a long time. How long have you been here?
3 years.
3 years? And what's made you stay for such a long time?
Well, the nice people.
Yeah,
and the nice weather. Yeah.
What value do international students bring to Perth?
International students bring a lot of value to a city when they choose to study in that destination. For example, they bring their own cultures and identity. They bring a lot of benefit to the local economy because they're paying rent, they're living in and spending money in that society. They're also bringing in their own multicultural values. So they're bringing in the diversity of language and the opportunity for them to teach and show locals what they have and what is, strong in their own country. As students, they're obviously putting their study effort into our universities, which is bringing a lot of vitality and benefit to the universities. When they then graduate, they might stay here and therefore they'll be professionals in our own society, or if they return to their own home city, we consider them alumni of Perth. And obviously there's always a fondness for our city, and when they become business people, they might choose to bring business benefit back to our city through that alumni benefit. So it's a win-win, and we're very lucky to have so many students now choosing Perth as their study destination.
Well, Perth's first International Student Festival has been a hit with domestic and international students alike. There's no doubt we can look forward to this becoming a permanent fixture on Perth's event calendar.
Well, yes, this week is National Fraud Week, and earlier in the show we gave you some tips of what to look out for. But the bottom line is, if you do receive a suspicious-looking email, telephone call, or someone at your front door that just isn't adding up, you should certainly delete that email, hang up the phone call, or close the front door. It'll be far easier to get yourself out of that situation than a stickier situation far down the track. Well, next up on Undercurrent, Australia has just been discovered to have one of the highest rates of diabetes amputation in the world. But why do you think that is? Well, this week Janae Tomlinson took to the streets of Perth to find out.
The amputation rate due to diabetes in Australia is one of the highest in the industrialised world. 85 Australians are losing limbs because of the disease per week. An $85 million amputation reduction plan has been submitted to the government for their consideration. We hit the streets of Perth to ask what you think about this situation.
We're just talking about diabetes. We have one of the highest amputation rates in the world in Australia. Why do you think this is?
Purely I think just because we overeat and taking over of junk food and stuff like that, people are more involved in eating junk food and therefore suffering in their health.
Probably the food that we usually eat, like some families eat the same food, like passed down through generations, like high sugars and probably not enough exercise.
I wouldn't have a clue.
Well, I suppose there has to be a need because there's gangrene set in, and that's probably why the doctors make the decision that they can't actually save the limbs, so then they have to actually amputate.
Currently more people, I guess, in Australia have diabetes than like America now, so we're getting, I don't know, we're just eating too much fatty food or something.
Have you both been tested for diabetes before?
No.
No, I'm too healthy.
Have either of you ever been tested for diabetes before?
Yeah. No, but I'm told I should be.
Yeah, my mother was a double amputee with diabetes, and yes, I get tested every year.
Do you think the government should put more money into preventing these kind of problems in Australia?
I think yes.
Absolutely. My husband's a diabetic. So yes, there does need to be, and I think there's a lot more education, a lot more awareness needs to go into this because it is such a growing problem. And I think we also need to have addressed the huge obesity rate that we've got, because that leads to diabetes, early onset diabetes.
Yeah, they probably should. They need like more healthy snacks, like definitely in schools. The kids are like, they have more access to like chocolate and stuff, like too much crappy food, so they need probably a lot more healthy food now.
Definitely, yeah, there's a great demand for it. If you look at the stats of how many people have diabetes in this country, I really think they should do something about it, yeah.
Definitely.
I agree, yeah, I think the government should definitely be putting, if it's a health issue, the government is definitely should be involved in that sort of thing, yeah.
Definitely, I think it should be going into more like precautionary, like testing earlier and then giving more education towards it.
I think people should put more, if the government's going to spend money, make people aware of the consequences, because more often than not, by the time it comes to the point where you're an amputee, it's too late. There's nothing people can do about it. But if they're warned years before, then that's where I think the government would be better off spending their money.
There's no denying amputation due to diabetes is a major health concern in Australia, something the government should definitely be focusing on improving. I'm Janae Tomlinson, reporting for Undercurrent.
Well, if you would like to have your say in what is usually the most colourful segment of our show here in Undercurrent, you can find us in the city on Tuesdays around about lunchtime. Well, more tips on National Fraud Week and, of course, more great stories on Undercurrent after the break.
Undercurrent, sponsored by John Hughes in Victoria Park. Choose your station before you choose your program. Absolutely.